Charlette, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. What is the biggest challenge in adjusting to this new technology did you see?
Getting used to using it versus the mirror. And I believe a lot of that is because that's just the way you're trained all this time, and you get that mirror, you become dependent on it. You're totally dependent on it. It's what you're used to, it's what you're trained by, and you become dependent on it. That's been the biggest challenge for me, getting used to the MirrorEye.
Well, I noticed you got yours turned out.
I do.
And you shared with me you turned that out because it forced you to use this, which is a better, in my opinion, is a better view.
It is.
A lot better view, a lot more clear, the whole bit.
It's a much better view, especially in inclement weather, bad weather. And that's why I keep them turned out. So I'll be forced to look here.
But we got to get people to trust it.
Right.
The tool is, in my opinion, phenomenal.
It's excellent.
It's got, you know, it's not perfect. None of them are.
Right.
But we've been working on it a long time, and it'll continue to get better.
Well, the good thing is I'll be able to see the people in their car videotaping me. I can see if someone gets close, like on both sides, I can see the whole front seat of their car right here. See?
Dang, you can.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting too. The mirrors have got water in the windows, rolling water. You don't see any of that in here.
Not at all. That's what makes it so much better in the weather. It's still clear.
Make you feel more at ease driving in inclement weather?
Yes. Especially the visibility, because sometimes cars won't turn their, raining like this, cars, trucks, they won't turn their lights on, you know, and with the MirrorEye, you can see them clear versus that mirror, you cannot when they don't have on lights in the rain.
I think the interesting thing here is you'll see when it picks him up, you can clearly see him in all the views over here.
Yes. Yep.
Now he's too close. He just passed into the caution zone.
Yep. I can still see him though, fully. I can see his front end now. In my blind.
On that?
Yep.
Yeah, you sure can.
I can see his hood. I can see the whole truck in the bottom of my MirrorEye.
So tell me, Charlette, when you lose him in this mirror over here,
okay,
versus what you see here.
I don't see him in the top, but I see him in the bottom. And I see him in my MirrorEye. I can see all the way to the back of his, I can see like to his gas tank and his rear axle in my blind spot. I can see from his window to the back of his truck.
Right there. And you can clearly see him.
I can clearly see him.
And you wouldn't see that in a hood mirror.
No.
Interesting.
I saw his whole truck come past there. And at no time did I ever lose visual of him until he was in front of me. Even when he passed that mirror, I could still see the back end of his truck in that side until I caught and see him in the front in this one.
Well, I noticed your head's not moving all over the place either. You're catching all the peripheral, but you are looking at these two mirrors right here, or these two camera visions.
Yeah, very, very minimal head turning. It's mainly my eyes and maybe my direction just a little, but I don't have to completely turn my head. I can see everything from up here.
I want to give a shout out to Charlotte too. Her directions wrote on top of the windshield over there, which to me is pretty awesome. She doesn't have to take her eyes off the road to look at her directions wrote down on a piece of paper or anything like that. So thank you for doing that. Thank you
No
for
problem.
teaching our folks that. It's a
You're
great
welcome.
idea.
Thank you. Thank you. It's helpful. It's safe.
How have you overcome the difference in the ratio between backing with mirrors and backing with a MirrorEye? You know, I talked about that since we got the very first ones in. It's not a one-to-one like it is looking in the mirror. How have you overcome that?
Well, I've used a few different techniques. If I'm backing into a dark area, I'm looking at, even before MirrorEye, I would do that because I would have my flashers on. I'm looking at making sure I'm clearing everything on the side, but I'm also looking at the shadow on the ground as it gets smaller towards where I'm going. And when that shadow, even with the lights on with the MirrorEye, when that shadow closes, I know that it's time for me to stop. I'm too close, or I'm close enough at least.
How have you overcome that? How do you operate to where you don't lose focus of what's going on in front?
Constantly watching this mirror, and that's true. When I'm backing, I'm looking here and here a lot. I'm checking over here, but I'm feeling pretty confident over here because even when I was using the mirror versus the MirrorEye, on this side, this is my visual. Like, I have peripheral. I can tell if something's over here, I'm gonna look real quick and see it. But because this is away and I can't see on the ground with my eyes, I'm watching this mirror right here a lot when I'm backing to make sure I'm not, to adjust in my radius to make sure I'm not getting too close to anything over there. And from the bottom of the MirrorEye, I'm also watching my drive axles because we're in a combination vehicle. So when they come out too far, and then I'm like, I gotta readjust. My tire's about to hit something over there. So
how has this helped your ability to get into tighter places?
a lot. I amaze myself sometimes. I was gonna bring that up. It's like, man, I got right in there. Because I can see good. Like I'm not over here leaning and looking like when I had the hood mirror. I can see right here and just get in there, and I'm like, man, I got right in there.
You know, we've been working on this for a long time, and it's still a work in progress. There's no doubt about it. It's not perfect, but nothing is. You never buy anything that's perfect. You always try to tweak it and make it your own. Explain to me how you get the student or the solo grad, the new grad, how you get them used to this versus the mirrors.
I turn them out. I do. I
turn the
them
mirrors
out.
out.
I turn them out, and I tell them that it's gonna be painful at first, but just trust me, you'll get used to it faster, and then you'll get used to it faster. And one thing I noticed about students before we had the MirrorEye and when we only had the mirrors, students would be backing and they'd be having to adjust this mirror view while they were backing because, well, now I can't see. And I told them that, you know, when you were learning to drive or whatever in your school, and you had to adjust those mirrors, I said, while you were backing, I said, that takes away from you focusing on what you're looking at while you're backing, doesn't it? Yeah, it kind of does. And I said, if you use the MirrorEye, you won't have to do that. You will just be able to look and back. And eventually they see that it's much easier to just use the MirrorEye because it's gonna give you your visual and without having to do anything but just look and back, look and back. Okay, I'm pulling in. know I'm going into this bay here, so I'm pulling around, getting set up. The main objective here is to get my trailer lined up with this bay door before I start my backing maneuver. It's all in the setup. Honestly, setting up just makes you have to do less turning and maneuvering to get to your desired location where you want your trailer to be. Using my MirrorEye. Right when I get in front of the building, I start using the MirrorEye more so to make sure I'm lined up. Looking at my MirrorEye, using the bottom portion of the MirrorEye. A lot of drivers I have talked to they have said that they feel like the view is too broad, and I told them to try using the bottom part because it does bring it in, gives you more detail. I won't more say it doesn't make it bigger, but it does make it more detailed in the bottom visual of your MirrorEye, especially when you're backing. Just watching both mirrors, just making sure I'm staying aligned. The main thing you want to do, you should want to do usually when you're backing in these bays or going into docks, is stay in the middle. Try to keep the same amount of room on each side of the trailer. That's usually how they're all set up for you to square in there. Still just watching, just making sure I'm staying straight and away from any object behind me. I'm also watching the top part of the MirrorEye too, just to verify the depth between the height on this opening in my tractor. There, I'm just pulled up. I wasn't exactly even in there, so I pulled up to get completely straight. And now I'll just be backing in, keeping little movements from side to side to keep the trailer straight. Directly behind me. Much easier, better view and everything behind me, more detailed view. I can see the shadows on the ground and everything to help me back with my depth perception going into this bay with MirrorEye, much better than with my side mirrors. That's it. Pause shortly there right before I come all the way in to make sure I was going to clear everything. And